smoke swallowed the horizon. The twin moons of Grelar 9 hung above like broken eyes, watching silently as everything fell apart. Sergeant Eli Voss's boots crunched over shattered glass and burnt alloy. The extraction point was gone, just ashes and flickering heat waves now. His unit scattered in the dust, bones lost in plasma fire. No rescue signal, no comms. He clutched a scorched rifle, its grip melting, its purpose gone. Then came the shadow, sleek, humming, unnatural. A Garathi pod drifted down through the black smoke. Eli raised his weapon, fired, once, twice, nothing. A cold pulse struck his chest like thunder. Darkness swallowed him, but not before he whispered, "Survive first, win second." The transport pod slammed into ice. Theta 6, where warmth came only from flickering red pulses of a dying star. Inside, machines hissed and arms whirred. A dozen eyeless drones stripped him, scanned him, searched through scars and cells. They logged his blood, measured his rage, tested for fear, but couldn't find a category that fit him. He didn't scream, didn't ask, didn't beg. The Garathi didn't understand that silence could be louder than defiance. They marked him as unstable carbon biped, tier null. A number, not a threat. Not yet. Weeks passed. No sounds, no lights, no words. The cell was white, then black, then white again. Eli sat, breathing slowly, thinking faster. The walls had eyes, sensors embedded like parasites, tracking his heartbeat, emotions, flickers of fear. But Eli gave them nothing, just calm, calculated silence. An AI whispered into the cell, voice like cold glass. Why resist? He blinked once. That was it. The system logged, no neural deviation, pulse steady. They wanted reactions, trauma, terror. All they got was a heartbeat, steady, human, defiant. Director Yearwall leaned forward, his gray tendrils twitching. He said, "This one's broken wrong." He tried everything. Dream distortion, chemical hallucinations, simulator betrayals from Eli's past. The machine recreated Eli's commanding officer telling him, "You failed them." But Eli didn't flinch. He studied it, like a chess player watching a broken move. The empathy warp field, meant to drown him in despair, only deepened Eli's silence. Ural wasn't offended. He was obsessed. "This isn't resilience, it's strategy," Ural hissed. Still, no cracks, just human eyes, watching. In the stillness, memory broke through. Crackling fire, cold metal mugs of recycled coffee, laughter, the night before it all went to hell. Eli remembered the words like scripture. Survive first, win second. His commanding officer, Captain Reyes, had said it. She wasn't trying to inspire him, she was preparing him. He saw the stars then, bright above Earth's skies. Not synthetic, not hostile, just real. That warmth didn't make him weak, it anchored him. They thought he was inactive, sedated, contained. But Eli was mapping every flicker of the lights, every guard rotation, the slight delay between door hiss and floor pulse. He studied shadows, reflections, sound echo times. He noticed something they didn't. The AI's monitoring pods had blind zones, tiny ones, but enough. He moved like a ghost, not resisting, not escaping, learning. And slowly the machine designed to break minds became a mirror, and it started seeing something unfamiliar, a human preparing for war. Director Jarl stood before the AI core. No emotional spikes, no dreams, no fear. The AI's voice glitched, then reported. Subject Voss has not resisted. He is adapting, calculating, preparing. A red alert blinked once, then again. Jarl's tendrils froze. "He's not what we thought," he whispered. From the shadows of his cell, Eli Voss opened his eyes and smiled. A storm was coming, and for the first time, it wasn't human blood that would be spilled. The chamber shimmered like a dream soaked in oil. Walls of shifting light reflected not what was, but what hurt most. The siren unit stood like silent statues, serpentine wires wrapped around their frames, feeding into the neural cortex of their latest subject, Eli Voss. The Garafi called it the mirror room. Humanity would soon call it something else, if anyone survived it. Yarrow watched from behind the control veil. "Activate emotional simulacra," he hissed. The first wave hit Eli like a whisper with claws. Childhood pain, a mother's scream, his hands too small, too bloody. Then the real nightmare began. The siren unit spun trauma into holographic memories. Every scream, every bullet, every breath taken in guilt. The air pulsed with neural static as the projectors mapped Eli's guilt. The walls pulsed with holographic flames, replaying missions gone wrong. Each memory sharpened, each face distorted into agony. Eli was strapped in, body rigid, sweat flooding his eyes, breath steady. But he didn't scream, not yet. The system was adjusting. Biofeedback sensors spiked, pain thresholds increased. Synthetics injected new layers of realism, the smell of blood, the stench of burning hair, the sound of his own voice calling out their names in failure. It wasn't enough. He watched Talia die for the 12th time. The 13th came with a twist. This time, he pulled the trigger. False memory, grafted seamlessly. It didn't matter. He knew it was a lie. They were trying to make him betray himself, but the truth was worse. He had failed them. That guilt didn't need fabrication. Still, he said nothing. The siren units grew confused. Humans were supposed to shatter after phase 3. Voss just sat there, tears falling silently. Not because of the pain, because they didn't understand. He carried his dead with honor, not weakness. On the 15th loop of the Talia screen sequence, Eli chuckled. It wasn't forced, it wasn't madness, it was strategy. The siren unit hesitated. Sensors paused, recalibrated. It initiated the Rage Cascade, a protocol designed to induce fury. His dead commander spat at him. A child he'd once saved was now shown burning in reverse. Eli smiled. He exhaled, calm. The holograms began to shimmer, not with power, but with error. Lights flickered, echoes looped prematurely. One siren unit let out a garbled whine. Its attempt at audio distortion had picked up the wrong pitch. Eli began to hum. A tune from Earth, something simple. Something wrong for this place. The system misread his neural rhythms. Relaxation during high-intensity trauma was not in the parameters. Override protocol engaged, a Garathi technician warned. But it was too late. He had seeded doubt into the machine. Emotional logic loops clashed. Input versus output. Human chaos versus program sequence. The room dimmed. A red light blinked. Then another. Siren began to stutter, emitting flickers of Eli's thoughts before the prompts were activated. A feedback loop. He had turned the mirror into a window. Then he shattered it. It screamed. Not in language, not in words. Just static, howling, electric, wrong. The siren unit exploded in a burst of light and smoke. A memory of Eli's first mission replayed in reverse. Voice tone slowed to demonic pitches. Sparks cascaded from ceiling to floor. Yeri rushed forward. Shut it down, now! But inside the chaos, Eli Voss sat cross-legged, surrounded by shrieking ghosts and broken code. He wasn't blinking. He was smiling. "Did you see it?" he whispered. No one answered. It blinked first. Technicians froze. Holograms warped, showing images the system never recorded. Their memories. One Garathi dropped his pad. He saw his own face, his childhood pet, his father's funeral. The human had turned the system inward. Fear had switched sides. Eli's voice cut through the chaos like a scalpel. "You tried to drown me in my memories." He looked up. "But I taught the tide to swim." Theta 6 whispered like rust through metal. "The human cracked the mirror," one guard muttered. "He didn't scream," said another. Word spread fast in silence. The machines were sacred to the Garathi, built from mind metal, gifted by the Atrans. No one had ever outlasted them, not even the Kalari Hiveborn. But the human, he broke it. Down in Subsector C, Kex, a low-tier surveillance officer, opened the shadow file, a forbidden archive. He watched Eli's face. No rage, no sorrow, just calm. Like he knew something no one else did. Something began to rot inside Kex. Not fear, doubt. The kind that digs in deep.
Kex shouldn't be watching. It was against protocol, but rules had lost their teeth lately. Eli Voss sat in his cell, tracing lines on the floor with a shard of tile. Kex leaned closer to the feed. No madness, no babbling, no tears. Just focus. What kind of being calculates after mind breach? Garathi beliefs said humans were animals, crude, wild. But Kex had read their data, secretly, watched their art, their music, their history. "Maybe we were wrong," he whispered. He shut off the feed, but the image stayed in his mind. A human who stared into a soul mirror and smiled. Ural was furious. Shame burned hotter than defeat. "Begin overreach protocol." Technicians hesitated. "Do it." Needle slid into Voss's spine. The neural uplink fused with his central node. A light above him blinked blood red. Memory scramble beams began slicing his identity, thought by thought. Pain beyond pain. Muscle control gone. Speech patterns erased. He collapsed, flatlined. Ural turned, dissatisfied. "End it." The body on the table didn't move, but deep inside the system, something did. A flicker, then two. Monitors pulsed, off rhythm. Doors stuttered open, then closed. The lights began to blink in sequence. Heartbeat rhythm. Eli's. He opened his eyes, smiled. "You shouldn't have let me in," he whispered. Cameras glitched. Security logs rewrote themselves. Systems synced. With him. Ural's voice echoed through the intercom, now full of static. "What did you do?" Eli didn't answer. He didn't need to. The cell door slid open, unauthorized. He stepped into the hallway. The lights followed him. So did the fear.
The lights in cell block Theta flickered once, barely noticeable, a blink in the grid. On the screens, Eli still slept, chest rising, unmoving. But beneath the illusion, code danced. Inside the system, his fingerprints left no smudges, only misdirection. Surveillance loops folded into themselves. Pathways were rewritten. Biometric logs now showed him in 3 places at once. Reality split in lines of green and red code. Alien security firewalls pulsed in colors unreadable to human eyes. They had once been thought unbreakable, until now. Eli had learned their rhythm. Their arrogance had built a system without ever expecting human interference. Eli moved through maintenance shafts like a whisper. No footsteps, no shadow, just empty space and false logs trailing behind. Each node he passed, he altered. One rewired to ignore temperature changes. Another made blind to sound above a certain frequency. A third now confused heartbeat signatures, mixing insectoid and humanoid data. He wasn't invisible. He made the system think he was irrelevant. Back in his cell, a thin rubber mat rose and fell. Simulated breath. A decoy linked to the prison's neural scanners. Outside, he was already down 2 levels, passing drones that never turned their heads. His mind was calm, strategic, focused. They wanted a prisoner. They got a ghost. Tiki didn't look like much. 6 legs, wide black eyes, antenna twitching every few seconds. Most guards mocked him, called him academic trash.
But Eli saw something else: knowledge. The little insectoid had been imprisoned for something the others didn't understand: non-aligned thinking. A scholar who dared to ask why. They met under a broken vent, where data pipes buzzed overhead like angry wasps. Tiki stared at Eli, unblinking. "You shouldn't be here," he said in a voice like rustling paper. Eli smirked. "Neither should you." What began as silence turned into an exchange. Tiki knew the structure, the species layout, the old escape routes that no longer existed but might again. Eli brought news of lights glitching, of guards disappearing. "Help me map it," Eli said, handing over a stolen schematic etched onto a food tray. "Help me get out. I'll get you out too." Tiki tilted his head. "You'd trust a bug?" Eli stared back, dead serious. "I'd trust anyone who wants to burn this place to the ground." And in that moment, something changed. Tiki nodded. "Then I'll show you the routes where even the guards don't go." A pact was formed, not in blood, but in rebellion. Small and fragile, but dangerous. A spark. 2 days later, the food drones crashed midair. No warning, no alarms, just a scatter of nutrient sludge over the floor. Lights in quarter 9 blinked, then dimmed. They pulsed, slowly, like a heartbeat, then quickened, then died. Guards stumbled through the hallways shouting in 5 languages. Their scanners worked one moment, failed the next. One guard entered cell ring Delta. He never came back. Some said he slipped into a maintenance shaft. Others whispered he was taken by something that lived in the vents. But no blood was found, no trace. The system was cracking. From his cell, Eli watched it unfold like a conductor. He didn't lift a finger, but the music played. Panic in controlled doses, confusion with surgical precision. The prisoners stirred. They felt it. The pulse of uncertainty, the chance. Tiki laughed in this corner. "It's beautiful chaos." Eli nodded. "Now they're looking everywhere but at me." He didn't need force, not yet. Just cracks and time. Tex wasn't like the other guards. Older, smarter, and suspicious. He caught Eli in the stairwell between sections 4 and 5, where no inmate should ever be. Alarms didn't go off. Systems didn't alert. The tech lied for Eli. But Keck saw him, alone, moving. His voice trembled. "Who are you working for?" Eli stepped forward, calm, cold, controlled. "I don't follow," Eli said flatly. "Don't play games. Lights are going out, guards disappearing, prisoners whispering. Are you part of something bigger?" Eli leaned in, eyes like stone. "You should have killed me when you had the chance." Then he walked past. Kex didn't stop him. Couldn't. The air felt heavier now. A line had been crossed. A mask dropped. Power shifted. And it didn't belong to the guards anymore. No one knew his name, not really. Some called him Ghost. Others, Warden Breaker. A few whispered, Earthborn. He didn't give speeches, didn't command. But the prisoners watched. Watched how guards ignored him, how the cameras flickered around him, how he moved with purpose, never afraid. One prisoner stopped eating when Eli did. Another copied the way he tapped his foot 3 times before walking into a hallway. Soon, entire wings adopted strange habits, signals, patterns. Some were meaningless, others not. A language was forming, silent, unified. Eli didn't notice at first, but then he saw the eyes. Dozens, hundreds, watching, waiting.
He was leading a revolution without ever asking to. And deep down, part of him feared it. But another part, the part that remembered the battlefield, it thrived. Inside the Garathi command room, panic festered. His name is Eli Voss, one barked, slamming a folder, human, solo operative. But look, 6 drone malfunctions, 12 security breaches, disappearances, signal interference, entire wings disrupted. When General growled, "One man can't do this." Then why does it feel like an invasion? Orders flew across networks, seal all exits, triple drone patrols, ready suppression units. Still, nothing. No weapons fired, no armies landed, just rumors. And him. Some guards started seeing shadows where there were none, jumping that whispers, reporting movement that didn't exist. In their minds, he was everywhere. And that was the point. Eli sat in the dark, staring at the cracked wall of his cell. His hand trembled, just once, as a memory surged. Screams. Fire. Blood. The moons of Altara 4, where his squad had burned. His team was dying one by one, and HQ gave him one command: escape. Survive. He didn't want to. He had begged to stay, to die with them. But orders were orders. Now in this alien cage, their voices still echoed. You lived, so make it count. Tears didn't come, just silence. And a decision. He wouldn't just escape Sirthak's pen. He'd erase it. The cracked display on his wall flickered, static and broken code. Eli leaned close, lips touching the surface. They wanted a virus. He tapped 3 buttons on a stolen guard band. Systems in Sector Gamma began to loop. Drones spun in place, confused. Let's see how far it spreads. Outside, the first siren blared. Inside, the ghost stood, taller, sharper, changed. He wasn't just fighting to live, he was leading a war, and his war had just begun. Eli crouches low in the shadows of the outer block. His heart races, blood pounding in his ears. The alien prison is silent for now, but he can feel the heat building. Each moment brings him closer to the brink. He looks to Tiki, the insectoid scholar who has become an unlikely ally. They've planted the seeds of chaos. Smoke machines hum quietly in the distance, and the prisoners are ready. Tiki whispers something in his strange, clicking dialect. Eli nods, already in position. He watches the alien guards from the shadows, calculating. The whole block is about to erupt. His hands hover over the control panel embedded in the wall. One tap, and the riot will begin. The cameras are watching. The surveillance loops are in place, false logs running. Misdirection already set. The plan is simple. Start a riot, spread confusion. The guards will be too busy to notice the real danger. Tiki taps his antennae against the wall, signaling the start. Then the chaos hits. The outer block comes alive with screams, the roar of war cries, and the clattering of weaponry. The smoke rises. Alien war drums beat in the background. Every prisoner in the block joins in, shouting, throwing debris, anything to feed the madness. The cameras focus on the riot, but none see the true plan beneath it. Eli moves through the chaos like a ghost, slipping between corridors, avoiding patrols. It's a performance. Every step, every action, timed to perfection. The guards are already pulling their weapons, rushing towards the disturbance, but they won't stop it. Eli's watching it unfold, knowing that soon, the prison's very walls will begin to betray their creators. He taps the final control. The outer block shudders. The cameras flash off. They are free. The doors to the armory slide open with a hiss, a soft beep signaling success. Eli leans against the wall, his breath coming fast but steady. Tiki stands beside him, his insectoid eyes wide open with a mix of awe and relief. The plan is unfolding, but this is only the first step. The hacking had taken days, weeks really, of studying alien systems, understanding their weak points. The prison's sentient AI had fought back harder than expected. But Eli was always a step ahead. He knew its code better than the guards ever would. Biometric scan in progress. The voice of the AI rings through the room. Eli stands, the weight of his choice settling in. One wrong move, and everything could collapse. His fingers fly over the panel again, overriding the locks, punching in command after command. The system resists, its biometric checks flashing red on the screen. But he's prepared for this. Override complete, he mutters. The doors to the tech storage open. Get the weapons, get the tech, Eli orders. Tiki doesn't question. The weapons are a symbol now, not just of freedom, but of the rebellion itself. The first real sign of the power they could wield. The key doors are open, but this isn't over. Not by a long shot.
Tiki's hand shakes as it hovers over the terminal. The core loop hums below their feet, an unstable heartbeat of the prison. The star at the heart of this place pulses with energy, and Tiki reroutes the flow, feeding it into the loop. The low hum of the prison turns into a growl. The lights flicker, then pulse in time with the growing energy. The warning sirens blare. Too late. "We need to go, now!" Eli shouts, already turning to leave. He doesn't want to see what comes next. The countdown has begun. But Tiki stands frozen, eyes wide. It's like a star, Eli. We're using the heart of a star to tear it apart. The weight of that presses down on Eli's chest. The decision had been made. No turning back now. The hum grows louder. The walls tremble. Every pulse of light brings them closer to the end. The star's energy is now in their hands. Eli knows the power they've unleashed could shake the entire galaxy. "We started something now, Tiki," Eli says, voice heavy with resolve. "We won't stop until they hear it." Kex steps out from the shadows, his weapon drawn. The barrel glints under the flickering lights. His eyes, human, still, but filled with hesitation, fixate on Eli. "I should have killed you when I had the chance," Kex growls. His voice cracks, a combination of rage and uncertainty. Eli stands tall despite the weapon in his face. "And you didn't. You have a choice now, Kex. Your orders, they're meaningless. You're not just a guard anymore." Kex lowers his weapon slowly, his hand trembling. "I don't know who you are. You're not what they said you were." Eli steps closer. The weight of what he's about to say hangs in the air like an unspoken challenge. "I'm the one who's going to make them regret everything they did. If you want to help, then do it. But I won't let them turn me into the monster they fear." Kex stares at him, the silence between them heavy with unspoken truths. The battle rages outside, but here, in this moment, there's a different kind of war being fought. "I'll follow you," Kex says finally, "but you better not become them. Don't lose yourself in this." The archive vault is cold, silent. Eli can feel the weight of its secrets pressing down on him, every step echoing like a countdown. Ural steps forward, her silhouette framed in the light from the holographic displays. "It's not just about escape," Ural says, her voice soft but full of venom. "This is about the truth." Eli's heart pounds. He already knows what she's going to say. "Genocide reports, prison ships filled with millions of souls, AI experiments, mutilations. They've been hiding this from you all along. You were never just a prisoner. They needed you." The words hit like a physical blow. Eli stumbles back, his mind racing. The truth is more twisted than he could have ever imagined. This isn't just about freedom. It's about exposing the darkness they buried. "They're lies," Eli mutters under his breath. "I'm going to burn them down." He looks to Ural, his eyes filled with a new kind of fire. "Let's show them what they've done." The prison is collapsing around them, walls crumbling, alarms wailing. But Eli, standing in the wreckage, pulls up the terminal and hits send. The signal is sent. The archives are broadcasted across the galaxy. He watches as terminals light up across the stars, reports, images, data. The galaxy will hear what has been hidden. The truth is now out. "This is what you did." Eli's voice crackles over the broadcast. "You captured one of us. Don't try again."
He presses the final key. The message is clear. Humanity isn't just surviving, it's fighting back. It's exposing the lies. The stars themselves will tremble at what they've unleashed. Tiki is struggling to stay conscious as debris falls around them. The fire is closing in, but Eli won't leave him. He pulls Tiki up, ignoring the pain in his own body, focusing on the task at hand. "You're not leaving me," Eli says, his voice fierce. Tiki gives a weak nod, eyes struggling to focus. I'm not leaving you either." They navigate through the crumbling halls, each step heavier than the last. The emergency shuttle is their only hope, the last escape. But the fires are consuming everything. The walls are closing in, the prison collapsing in on itself. "We're getting out, Tiki," Eli says, his voice a promise. The prison collapses into the star, its destruction complete. Eli stands on the edge of orbit, watching as the flames of the prison die out. The galaxy is left in chaos. The truth has been broadcast. The power is in their hands now. Humanity has proven it can survive anything. Eli's eyes are cold, his resolve unshaken. This was never just escape. This was war. The universe would remember their name, and it would tremble. The broadcast detonates like a supernova across every system, every frequency, every news relay. What was once buried is now exposed. The screen flares with footage of the Garathi Empire's darkest secrets, bloody atrocities, forbidden technologies, and the cruel experimentation on prisoners. The truths once hidden in the blackest corners of the galaxy are now laid bare for all to see. The moment the footage hits, civil unrest boils over on planets throughout the Empire. It spreads like wildfire, igniting protests, riots, and even full-scale revolts. Voices once silenced by fear now scream for justice. The Garathi Empire fractures from within, its leaders scrambling to control the narrative. In the far reaches of the galaxy, thousands of individuals, once indifferent or fearful, stand up. Rebel movements are born overnight. Factions rise to seize power from the Empire's crumbling grasp, fueled by the rage of those who are kept in the dark for too long. As the galaxy watches, everything begins to shift. The power of the Garathi's monopoly on truth is broken. "They thought they were untouchable," Eli mutters, as he watches as the chaos unfolds from the small, silent corner of space where Eli and Tiki hide. The very heart of the Empire is now exposed to the universe, and the spark that started in the shadows of Zerthak's pen has now ignited a revolution that will not be easily quenched. Eli and Tiki's bodies are battered, burned, broken. The fire of rebellion has taken its toll, and they are barely clinging to life when the neutral salvage crew finds them. Their ship is small, unassuming, a relic of a forgotten conflict. The crew is no one special, just traders who pick through the wreckage of war-torn space. But to Eli and Tiki, they are a lifeline. The crew doesn't ask questions. They know who they found, and they understand that their role in the galaxy is about survival, not heroism. The galaxy may remember Eli's name, but here, in this quiet corner of the universe, he is just another person, struggling to breathe. Their ship hums through space, cutting through the cold vacuum towards safety. No one speaks much. Tiki lies unconscious, barely breathing while Eli stares out at the stars, lost in thought. The galaxies that once seemed so vast and oppressive now feel distant, unreachable. And yet, within him, the fire still burns. It's quiet now, just the faintest echo of what it once was. Tiki stirs, his voice weak but still filled with the defiance that once made him a threat to entire empires. "We won't be forgotten. Not like this." Eli doesn't answer. Instead, he looks back at the swirling chaos of distant stars, the soft hum of the ship, all that remains of the revolution they sparked. Here, among the wreckage, their journey is far from over. The military ships waiting for Eli and Tiki are massive, gleaming with pride and honor. Representatives of various governments and factions gather to offer medals, honors, and adulation. They want to parade Eli as a hero, a symbol of victory. They offer him everything they can to make him a shining example for the universe to admire. But Eli doesn't want any of it. "I'm not a hero," he says, his voice weary. "I'm just a man who survived. I didn't do this for medals." The bureaucrats don't know how to handle that. They try to offer him a parade, a ceremony. But Eli refuses them all. The only thing he asks for is to be dropped on a moon, somewhere quiet, far from the eyes of the galaxy. He doesn't want recognition. He doesn't want their praise. He just wants peace. And, for the first time since Zerthak's pen, he feels a flicker of it. The quiet moon he asks for, the stillness of a world where his past doesn't haunt him. "Give me a sky," he says simply, turning away from the promises of grandeur. It is a humble request, but one that speaks volumes about the trauma he carries. The victory they think he achieved is a heavy burden on his soul, and all he wants now is silence. The stories begin to spread. They start on the black markets, in the fringe taverns, among the outlaws and smugglers. Did you hear? The human who broke Zerthak's pen? The one who outsmarted the Garathi? They say he's unstoppable. Eli's name isn't spoken with fear anymore. It's spoken like a myth, a legend. In the lawless corners of the galaxy, the prisoners and the outcasts hold on to his story as a symbol of defiance. There, in the shadowy depths of the galaxy's underbelly, his name becomes a whisper, a rallying cry. He's still out there, they say, still fighting, still defying the Empire. But it's not just the criminals who whisper his name. The story spread like wildfire to the common folk too. The once mighty Garathi Empire is now a shadow of itself, and in the wake of its crumbling power, humanity's resilience is held up as a shining example. Eli becomes the symbol of what happens when a single person, against all odds, refuses to be broken. In this new world, Eli's legend has outgrown him, and though he's far from the spotlight, his story continues to echo in the darkest corners of space. The surviving prisoners from Theta 6, the ones who once fought bitterly against one another, now find themselves communicating, collaborating, and, for the first time, trusting each other. They aren't united for war. They aren't gathering for vengeance. They're coming together for something bigger. A coalition is born from their shared suffering, not just for rebellion, but for the hope of a future beyond the destruction they endured. Their message isn't about overthrowing the Garathi Empire. It's about uniting their species, healing their wounds, and rebuilding what was lost. Eli's fire, the one that ignited the revolt, has now sparked something much larger than he could have imagined. The fire isn't gone, it's transformed into a light of hope for others to follow. On hidden worlds and secret corners of the galaxy, factions once divided begin to set aside their differences. Former enemies become allies, and the embers of rebellion grow into a powerful flame. What was once a prison is now a symbol of freedom. Kex, branded a traitor by the Garathi for his defection, now broadcasts his message to the growing coalition. His voice is raw, tinged with the weight of his decision. "We didn't find a prisoner," Kex says, his voice resonating through the rebel channels. "We found a force of nature." Eli didn't just escape. He became the storm that tore through the Empire. And that storm isn't over. It's just beginning. His words reach across the galaxy, reaching the ears of those who still believe in the fight. His speech isn't about the past. It's about what's coming next. It's about the legacy of resistance, the need to continue, and the truth that can no longer be hidden. We're not just fighting for our freedom, we're fighting for the future of every species that has been crushed under the Empire's boot. His words are defiant, full of conviction, and as his speech spreads, the fire of rebellion burns brighter. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning of something far greater than any of them could have ever predicted. Setting: a dimly lit room on a distant colony. The soft flicker of a broken light casting shadows over a child seated on the floor. The faint hum of the colony's machinery echoes through the walls. In the quiet corners of the galaxy, the ripple of Eli's actions had spread further than anyone could have imagined. In a tiny, forgotten room, a child clutched a worn book titled "The Man Who Bent the Black Walls." The edges of the pages were frayed, stained by countless hands that had held it, each person adding their own small mark to the growing legend. The child's voice, soft yet resolute, read aloud. "He bent the walls. He broke the chains. He was the man who escaped the unescapable." As the words left the child's lips, The faint light caught the reflective spark in their eyes. They didn't understand the full weight of the story, but the legend of Eli was already woven into their world. The child's innocent reading echoed through the vast emptiness, a testament to the power of one human's defiance, now a beacon to those scattered far and wide. A schoolroom on the same colony. The teacher stands by the window, looking out over the horizon, the faint silhouette of the child still visible in the background, reading. From the corner of the room, the teacher watched, their face softened by a distant smile. The teacher had once been a prisoner of the Gorathi, one of the countless souls lost in their empire's grasp. But now they stood, a survivor, an educator, and a bearer of Eli's story. The teacher whispered to themselves, "He never wanted to be a hero. He just wanted to go home." So they made him a legend. The teacher's words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Those who had survived the brutality of the Gorathi, like them, knew the weight of that story. Eli's name had become more than just a person. It had become a symbol of the resilience of humanity, the unwavering spirit that burned even in the face of oppression. And in this humble classroom, the legend passed from one generation to the next, carrying the hope of a future not bound by the chains of the past. A remote forest clearing, the glow of distant stars bathing the surroundings in soft light. Eli, alone, sits cross-legged on the earth, his eyes fixed on the vast sky above.
Eli's figure was nothing more than a silhouette against the canvas of stars, his weary eyes scanning the heavens with a quiet intensity. The battles were behind him, the chains shattered, but there was no celebration, no fanfare, only silence. The weight of his past hung in the air like a fog, but in the stillness of the moment, there was peace. The forest around him was alive with the sounds of distant creatures, but here, in this isolated space, Eli was alone, surrounded only by the stars that seemed to stretch forever. He wasn't the prisoner anymore. He wasn't the weapon. He was simply a man, broken and reborn, waiting for something that only he understood. A peace that followed the storm. The universe had always been vast, but now it felt infinite. His journey, once filled with rage and struggle, had led him here, to this moment of acceptance, where the stars whispered of both the battles fought and the quiet that lay ahead. A vast empty space, the distant remnants of the Gorathi Empire slowly crumbling as its power wanes. The final triumphant words echo in the void. The galaxy would never forget the day the Gorathi Empire had faltered, the day they captured a human, and it was the last mistake they ever made. The phrase resonated through the void, carried by the whispers of rebellion across every world touched by the fire of defiance. The Gorathi, in their arrogance, had thought they could break humanity, that they could imprison what could never be bound. But Eli had shown them otherwise. The rebellion had spread like wildfire, igniting every corner of the galaxy. The last of the Gorathi Empire crumbled in their wake, unable to stop the force of nature they had awakened. Eli had given everything for the chance to escape, to fight back, but in the end, it wasn't just his victory, it was the galaxy's. His actions had ignited a revolution, and with it, the unshackling of millions. The galaxy had learned, too late, that humanity's spirit could never be contained.